Tony Jaime baseball cards was my father's business. My father's business that he started while I was in high school, and we essentially did it together. But make no mistake, I was 17 years old, and my dad was a grown man. It was his baseball card shop, and I started learning my do better lessons under the tutelage of my dad. And now my dad didn't use the phrase do better or good, better, best or Kaizen or any of the terms that I've come to know and to teach. My dad just did it. My dad just lived it. And to my shame, I really didn't even realize what a wealth of knowledge that I gained from my father during those 2 years that I spent really under his wing. And I'm forever grateful. And it wasn't for probably another 15 years after that I realized that I had gained my business sense, my sales skills, and really a lot of composure because of the time that I spent with my dad. And so in Tony Jaime baseball cards, what I wanted to do was just kind of take a look at some real life lessons, because maybe you're listening to the podcast, or maybe you've read my book Do Better or Good Better Best, and you're trying to personalize it to you. Maybe you have a hazardous waste business, or maybe you're a physics teacher. I don't know what your particular expertise is, but you may be having a difficulty kind of drawing some of the concepts: do better, Kaizen, win forever, always compete, perfect practice, good to great, press onward, fish philosophy, goal setting, failure is an option, it's your ship, coach, raving fans, extreme ownership. So I wanted to maybe just tell you in my dad's example of his baseball card shop, and so that maybe this will help you to identify and find your place with my terms and phrases and philosophies. My dad and I, we started a baseball card business when I was in high school. And it started because, I had a friend over for the night, and the next morning I noticed in my top shelf, hidden in the back of my closet, some of my baseball cards were on the ground. And when I went through my boxes and I noticed that there were some cards missing, I went to my dad and I asked my dad, "Hey, Dad, what should I do about this?" And my dad, not wanting to be confrontational and just kind of thinking, well, I mean, these are just, baseball cards. What's the big deal? What? Don't worry. Don't confront your friend. We'll take care of it. Well, it just so happened that a week later there was a baseball card show or convention in our area. And so, my dad and I went to this show. We had no expectations at all. And we walked in and just absolutely fell in love with the industry, with the hobby. I mean, there was a room filled with over 200 vendors, 200 people with their tables, selling all kinds of different baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, sports memorabilia, magazines, bats, figures, signed balls, jerseys. It was a sportsman's heaven. And so my dad and I walked in there, and very quickly we became, just addicted to the habit. And then we realized we needed to make some more money so that we could buy some more cards. And we kind of looked at some of the cards that I had and started thinking to ourselves, well, you know what? Maybe we can start selling some of the cards we don't want in order to purchase cards we do want. And that's really how our business got started. But see, my dad has a good, better, best mentality. He's always had a do better, kind of innovative side to himself. And even though we started off very slow and really it was just a passive hobby, my dad was always, using Kaizen marginal gains and his strategies to want to do better. And so we would come back from these shows and, we would talk about them and, talk about what we could have done better, talk about what we saw other people doing. We examined ourselves. We examined the way our table was set up, the cards we brought, the cards we didn't brought. And so my dad just had this, hey, look, we'll just make little fixes every time. My dad had a very, it's your ship mentality. Yes, we were, two little guys in this, big convention center with, 200 other people selling. But my dad, he just said, look, this is our table. And then we later, expanded to 2 tables. Hey, look, this is our ship. This is our space. We're going to do what we need to do to make money within the confines of our space. And so one of the things that he did right away was we started bringing sports magazines. Nobody at the time ever brought sports magazines, and my dad used the space below the table to maximize his square footage. Most people only used the table itself to display. And so my dad right away, just kind of taking charge of his area, used space in a better way. My dad's competitive. My dad's a great baseball coach, and my always compete mentality came from my dad. And one of the things we would talk about after the show is what? There's a limited amount of money in the room. There's only so many people. They only have so much money. And so he realized right away, hey, look, we're competing. We're competing against every single dealer, every single table in that room for the limited amount of money. And so my dad, we set goals. We had goals for every show to buy. We went to shows to make our purchases, to get prices at the best price we possibly could, so that we could buy low, not sell high, but buy low and sell profitably quickly. We would buy at conventions. We went to baseball card shops, and we even put ads in the newspapers to buy collections. Our second goal was to sell. We were buying these cards. We were buying our product. We were buying our inventory in order for us to sell it. My dad had a couple philosophies. One of them was, look, we have to move and turn over product quickly. That's how we make money. And so my dad was very keen and had set these goals to not only buy and sell, but then thirdly, to trade. And that is, by the way, the kind of the motto of the hobby: buy, sell, and trade. But my dad, kind of ignorantly, not knowing any better, just took those 3 things and said, these are our goals. And so trading was a big part of what we did. We would take a box of cards to every show, and it was my job to trade with people. And as a kid, I was learning how to communicate. I was learning how to negotiate. I was learning the art of sell with adults. And I didn't even know it. I thought I was just having fun. But my dad also had a fish philosophy. Of course, he didn't name it a fish philosophy. He didn't, have it broken down into, hey, look, fun, being into it, service with a smile, and giving people or having a great experience. But my dad did it. My dad did it in his baseball stories. My dad is a great storyteller, and when people would come to his table, he would talk to them, ask him, who was your favorite player, and talk about games that he saw and think, either on TV or in person. And my dad had great knowledge for players. I mean, almost everybody at a baseball card show has a favorite player, and that's they buy by players. And so my dad had a great player knowledge, and he would promote players, and he would get people excited and talking to them about it, so that there was an emotional buy. And then my dad, using that philosophy, we analyzed our customers. We knew regular people that were going to kind of travel around to these conventions throughout Southern California. By the time we got our shop, my dad knew who his customers were, and we would go out and we would buy and we would trade to improve our stock, specifically to sell to our customers, because we knew the players they liked, because my dad was always talking about them and telling them stories. And so all of it came together. And really what this did for my dad was it produced, a raving fans community. My people would come and just hang out with us at our table or at our shop, kind of like a a pub except for baseball cards. And my dad never advertised. All of our business was through word of mouth. The only advertising we did was to buy collections, not to sell. When we first started our shop, we were open 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. By the time we ended, we were only open 3 days a week. It was almost by invitation only for our customers. We were there to serve our customers. So we bought, we sold, we traded for our customers. We would expand. We had people who liked Reggie Jackson, and so not only did we carry in stock Reggie Jackson baseball cards, but we got a Reggie Jackson bat, we got Reggie Jackson autographs, we got some of the nuance things of memorabilia. Maybe it was a magazine, and so my dad was able to increase his sales by increasing product line. And so in the whole stream of things, Tony Jamie's baseball cards, my dad's Do Better lessons were just a great education. I will forever be thankful and grateful for Tony Jamie baseball cards.